WTVA Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhon here alongside meteorologists Alan Matthew and John DeLucic. The National Weather Service in Memphis, Tennessee, issuing a tornado warning on a thunderstorm in Prentiss County. I don't necessarily agree with the box, the angle they have on this here. I would say the threat does extend maybe a little bit more east toward New Site and for southern sections, central and southern sections of Tishomingo County there. The warning in effect until 3:15. We were getting ready to come on for the severe thunderstorm warning simply because the rotation picked up, but they've gone ahead and upgraded it to a tornado warning. I'm going to get the lightning strikes off of the screen here for a moment so we can see a little bit more about what's going on. Now, this shows there's plenty of rotation on this thunderstorm, and this is much more organized than the thunderstorm that prompted the tornado warning last night. So here's what we have to talk about for a moment here. We need to be in our tornado safe place if we live in New Site and central and eastern sections of Prentiss County, central and southern sections of Tishomingo County. What we don't have at this moment is a tornado that's been spotted or debris that we can confirm on radar, but rotation has been there, and in the last 10 minutes has really picked up on this thunderstorm, and it's possible that could develop into a tornado very soon. So where do we need to go? We need to be on the lowest floor of a sturdy structure. We say this a lot, and I hope you pay attention. We want to make sure that you are safe. Find a sturdy structure. I'll go to the lowest floor, find a room in the middle, turn up the volume on the TV, wrap up in blankets and pillows, and stay there until we can give you the all clear. If your signal goes out, as it often does in this situation, you can watch our live coverage online at WTVA.com/live, the WTVA News, the WTVA Weather app. We are streaming live on Facebook. We appreciate your reports, but I'll say this, as we often say this, what I don't want is you to try to be a storm spotter if you're not certified. And even then, if you're certified, I want you in your safe place until this has passed. So close inspection on exactly where we're looking at this, and the rotation here pretty much right on top of County Road 5051 in Prentiss County. This is, I mean, a much more organized thunderstorm than what we had last night. This is County Road 5091, Hobo Station area there. I know a lot of folks live near these locations in rural Prentiss County here. We'll talk about Booneville proper here in just a second, but it's in this zone here, County Road 5051. If you live near County Road 5091, County Road 3371 in Prentiss County, and County Road 3101. All locations, we would say, very close to the path of this potential tornado. Looking for debris on this thunderstorm, which is not something we have at this moment, thankfully, but this is what we're going to analyze here. We would look in this area where nothing's going on. This is bugs and stuff being sucked into the thunderstorm, but this zone, at this moment, thankfully, not able to confirm debris. But looking at the wind mode of Storm Track Doppler radar and that pixel-to-pixel wind change, 62 miles per hour, not quite the 80-plus miles per hour it was just moments ago when it was very near County Road 5141 there in Prentiss County, and continuing to wrap up and move a little bit more toward the east and southeast. And what that means, let's go wide here for a second. We have some folks up here in Iuka. The rotating part of this thunderstorm is not headed toward you, but Belmont, you're not officially in this tornado warning. But this is heading much more toward Marietta, toward Belmont. It's heading more toward the south and east. So they drew their box here a little too far north, and that does mean some folks that rely on weather call. Weather call goes off of this box. So if you live down there in Belmont, even though you have not got that alert, we need to have you thinking about and moving to your safe place just in case. This thunderstorm is much more organized than the thunderstorm we had last night, likely also producing hail that could be in excess of 1 inch and tons of deadly cloud-to-ground lightning that we have to be very, very careful of. I want to go wider. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning issued just moments ago. These thunderstorms farther south, also in an environment just a little ahead of a front where they show some signs of rotation. A couple of storms here. Hail, the main factor with those. Some of that hail could be up in excess of 1 inch in size. We'll look a little closer at this one here in a moment over top of Houston. I do think that that one probably is producing some hail that could be around 1 inch in size. If you do have that hail to report, send us a picture, Twitter, at WTVA Matt is my Twitter handle there, but definitely watching this very, very closely. Let's go back up to Prentiss County for a moment here, and what I want to do is I want to look out of our Tupelo tower cam. We should have a view. It's going to be a pretty good distance away, unfortunately, on this thunderstorm. Yeah, I mean, we'd be looking back in this zone here, so we're a little too far away. The rain curtain on that's going to be a little too far removed to be able to get a good shot on that thunderstorm there. What I want to do is I want to flip this around toward the south now, and now looking back toward the south and west to see if we can get an angle on that approaching thunderstorm. And again, a little too far away to do that at this moment. So apologize as we just kind of flip this around as we're waiting to see if maybe we'll have a better vantage point on that. So where do we stand right now? We have a tornado warning that's been issued until 3:15 for a thunderstorm in Prentiss County. I know a lot of folks up there last night had to worry about rotation and a possible tornado. What we have this afternoon is more impressive. Might not be producing a tornado, but on radar it definitely is a lot more impressive. Definitely a better inflow on this. The rotation pretty much right over top of Mississippi Highway 4 near the Hobo Station area of Prentiss County at this time. North here, that's going to be some hail, easily an inch, inch and a half in size. Now this doesn't look as impressive as it sometimes does on radar. You go to the wind mode there, we still have tight enough rotation. This is Mississippi Highway 4 there. This is County Road 3371. It's very near where those two connect near the Hobo Station area there to the west of New Site. That is the location where at this moment we believe rotation could be strong enough that this is producing a tornado. And this, while not as strong as it was maybe 4 or 5 minutes ago, is considerably stronger than most of the time we tracked that storm last night. So based on that latest location, assuming still about 30-35 miles per hour, we're going to track this, and we're going to include Belmont and Dennis in the track eventually here. 5 minutes into the New Site area, that'd be the middle part of New Site. And I know a lot of folks live in New Site, and you live 3 miles north, 5 miles west. This is the middle. So certainly if you live in New Site, we obviously have to be in a tornado safe place. And even though you're not officially in a tornado warning out in Belmont, you are in the path of the rotating part of this thunderstorm and need to just be very cautious of this as it moves toward you. And I would encourage you to be moving to your tornado safe place, even though you are not officially in a tornado warning in the southern part there of Prentiss County, because this thunderstorm, and I'll show you the motion on it, and you can come up with your own decision here. I mean, you can see that the motion on this, watch, is heading more this direction here, more toward this zone between Tishmingo and Belmont. So Tishmingo, we definitely need to be in a tornado safe place. Burton as well. Moore's Mill, if you live near there. I'd put you there in Marietta. Again, we have a lot of folks that live in Marietta, and you live a little bit north of town there. And so certainly north of Marietta, we need to be in our safe place. But if you live even Marietta locations back toward the east and west, we need to be there. South of Marietta certainly wouldn't hurt, but the main zone we're looking at here is just a little bit north, not by more than about 2 miles or so as it approaches the New Site area. Current time is 2:48 p.m. Meteorologist Matt Lawpon alongside meteorologist Alan Matthew and John DeLusick tracking a storm producing tons and tons and tons of lightning. And lightning is an indicator for us of the strength of a thunderstorm because it tells us how quickly things are being moved up and through the thunderstorm. And every one of those big zigzags you see, those are lightning strikes that happened at that instant. That's a lot, right? That tells us this is a very powerful thunderstorm. And so, though we sometimes show thunderstorms that look worse on radar, this is one we have to respect. With the adequate moisture but not excessive moisture, these are going to be more Great Plains style sort of tornadoes if they are produced. They might not be terribly long-lived, but they most certainly are going to be visible. And so storm spotters are watching this. You need to be in your safe place, and certainly the large hail there near the altitude community in Burton, right there, that's easily at least 1-inch hail. And in fact, a report from just a few minutes ago from Booneville of golf ball size hail on this thunderstorm, just 1 mile east of Booneville, the location of that report. So that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about this. It's giant hail. You don't want to go out in that. So this is that hail core here. You see what it flashes? That's what this is. Our tornado approaching the New Site area at this moment. I say our tornado. We don't know for sure that this is a tornado on the ground at this moment. But that pixel-to-pixel wind change, 54 miles per hour. When it gets above 80, we feel very confident. When it's in this 50 to 60, in a lower precipitation supercell, which is what this is, that still might be doing something down at the ground that isn't as detected higher up in the thunderstorm. So right over top of the intersection of Hobo Station there, that is where we would expect our potential tornado to be. So now we are talking with that location, no more than 2 miles from New Site. As far as Bay Springs Lake is concerned, we're talking less than 6 miles away at this moment. So if you know some folks that are out there on the lake or heading to the lake, I mean, it is warm enough. I don't know that I get in the water this early in the season, but you have some fishermen out there, make sure they're aware this is heading toward Bay Springs Lake, and they need to get to some kind of sturdy structure. And so in this case, it might have to be a gas station and get into the refrigerator if that's what has to happen. But if you know some folks out here in Bay Springs Lake, I should have mentioned this a little earlier, definitely heading in that direction. And with it moving about 35 miles per hour, that's about a mile every minute, minute and a half to 2 minutes or so. It's 8 miles away. So we're talking probably 14 minutes or so to the middle of Bay Springs Lake. So if you know some folks that are out there doing some fishing, you want them to get to a sturdy structure. It might be one of the restroom buildings, but we need to get them off the lake. That's number one thing we need to make sure of. This thunderstorm, as we mentioned, producing some very large hailstones and tons of cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. The hail reports on this, we've only got that one report, I think, out of the Booneville area of hail. And now in just the last moment or so here, this has popped on. So let's see what this is. One east of Thrasher, Prentiss County, Fire and Department of Rescue reports tornado at 2:52 p.m., which you might note is right there. So at this moment, tornado reported on the ground on County Road 3401. So now there is no question. We have a tornado on the ground on this thunderstorm in Prentiss County near new site. Tornado in progress, according to Fire Department. They're 1 mile east of the Thrasher area in Prentiss County. The report, or at least that's where the report came in just a moment ago. So tornado on the ground in progress. And yes, this box leads it to believe that this storm's going to go this direction. It's not. This is heading east and east-southeast. So I want to get some folks up here ahead of this in the track, because you are not in the tornado warning, but you should be. If you live in Neal, the Dennis area, this shows 17 minutes into Dennis, and it'd be almost the exact same time. For whatever reason, Dennis not popping on my map here, but it'd be about 15 to 17 minutes into the Dennis area. Belmont, within the next 20 minutes. Rotation that has been within just the last minute and a half confirmed to be a tornado on the ground. So if you live in new site or near new site, looking at the precipitation mode, it's there, and there it is on the wind mode, 88. Remember we said above 80 miles per hour a minute ago? 88 miles per hour, tornado on the ground near the intersection that qualifies as new site. And at this moment, let's zoom in, let's get close, let's name some county roads here. So we're talking County Road 3261, where it is at this moment. In fact, if we go up a scan or two on Storm Track Doppler radar, we might be able to advance that forward just a little bit more to get another shot here. No, that is our latest scan. So we'd be talking the intersection of Mississippi Highway 366 in the new site area, where we would expect to have a tornado on the ground at this moment. That tornado has been confirmed within the last 2 or 3 minutes. And so when we look at our tornado definition, this one is clear cut. We are talking about a tornado on the ground, potentially doing damage at this moment, pretty much right on top of new site. It has been spotted. The rotation is as strong as it's been. So now let's check that. Tornado debris. Let's see if we can see that on radar. That would tell us a little bit about the strength. Another way we can confirm it. And thankfully, I don't have tornado debris showing up at this moment. But as law enforcement is reporting at the exact spot that this is likely a tornado, that's what we have to assume at this moment. So we need, if you live in new site, to stay in our tornado safe place. We have a new scan we'll address here in a minute. If you know some folks at Bay Springs Lake, make sure they get to a sturdy structure. So, convenience store, believe it or not, they might not look like the sturdiest place in the world, and they might not be the sturdiest place. But the coolers in those are reinforced because they have to be able to hold the cold air in. And I know there's glass on the front. Anytime we're talking about a tornado warning, it's trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Whatever it is, we need something with a solid foundation, with strong walls around it, as many walls between the youths and the outside as possible, and find a room in the middle, turn up the volume on the TV so we can give you the all clear. Wrap up in blankets and pillows. Helmet couldn't hurt. Baseball helmet. A lot of folks have bike helmets. That'd be a good idea. Motorcycle helmet, ATV helmet, though unfortunately not as many folks as they should probably wear those ATV helmets. We stream live at WTVA.com. I know this knocks out satellite a lot of the time in this situation. You can find us in the News and Weather app. Continuous coverage there. We're on Facebook Live right here, pointed at the screen there if your signal goes out. Make sure your phone is plugged in case you lose power. We believe this still to be a tornado in progress. Now north and east of new site, the cloud ground lightning continuous on this thunderstorm here. The location of that tornado on the ground and potentially doing damage. Now this still shows it back closer to new site on the wind mode of Storm Track Doppler radar, just on top of the intersection there, new side of 366 and County Road 3401. Tornado in progress at this moment. As of 4 minutes ago, it was on the ground. And so could it have lifted up? Possibly. Do you want to take that chance? I say absolutely not. So we need to be in that tornado safe place, new side area near Mississippi Highway 366. This is going to track pretty close to Highway 366 as it goes toward the south and east. And talking distance away from a few folks here, if you live or consider yourself a resident, then I have some friends that live out here near the Hobo Station area and with the new site. Hopefully they are still in that tornado safe place. It does look like Memphis has adjusted, yes. Okay, so they have issued a new tornado warning on this, and this now encapsulates the areas we've been talking about here for Belmont, for Dennis, for those locations out here into southern Tishomingo County, because that is the direction. Just follow the lightning here. The lightning tells you where this storm is going. The anvil lightning coming down, all this here tracks it before the storm gets there. This is where the storm is going. It's coming toward Dennis. It's coming toward Belmont. You're going to get big hail up here between Tishomingo and Dennis. And by big, I mean we've had reports of golf ball size. That's 1 3/4 inch size. That's not small. That's huge hail for around here. You're going to get that. And so that's why I implore you, if you live in Dennis, if you live in Belmont, you live in southern sections of Tishomingo County, the extreme southeastern corner of Prentiss County, that at this moment, I know the lightning's bad. I know you don't want to deal with it. You need to go out there now. You need to get to that safe place now, because this lightning is only going to get a lot worse. Tornado warning continues now. The new warning coming in, I want to make sure that this is the correct time frame on the warning, and that is until 3:30. 3:15 was the old warning. New warning is now until 3:30. That does include southern Prentiss and southern Tishomingo counties. Lots of lightning, hail that's large, looking for debris on Storm Track Doppler radar. Cannot confirm that at this moment. That's a good sign there. Another way we can confirm the direction that this is heading is simply looking at our rotation track. And you can tell the angle that this is heading just watching over the last hour. I mean, this is moving toward the south and east, and that's why we're talking about this zone in the southern half of Tishomingo County where this is heading. And obviously we're still talking about it on the ground potentially at this moment in sections of Prentiss County. Now it looks like the National Weather Service has canceled, just kind of backing south here to make sure we're not missing something at this moment. National Weather Service has canceled the warning that was in effect for sections of Chickasaw, Itawamba, Lee, and Monroe counties. That was a severe thunderstorm warning for hail. Those thunderstorms have weakened. There are still some that are showing signs of rotation down here, checking the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar just to make sure we're not missing anything. And though there's some weaker rotation, and we'll have to watch some of these, nothing anywhere near as impressive as what is a tornado that in the last 10 minutes has been observed in Prentiss County. Now we have a couple of areas here that are, now we have some rotation up here toward County Road 3501, our rotation broader. At this moment, it may or may not be a tornado on the ground. The rotation looks less impressive than it did even just a couple of minutes ago. Good sign there. But that doesn't mean that this doesn't try to cycle back. And what that means is these storms go through a cycle where they get the air wrapping in just right, and it produces the tornado, and then the cold air from the thunderstorm undercuts it. Tornado lifts for a moment, and maybe it lifts for good, but maybe it sets back down again. And so there are a couple of areas there that we are watching that rotation at this moment. I'm going to go to the precipitation mode, and I wish there was a little less lightning on it. I mean, not that you don't wish there was less lightning at home, but the fact that there's just so much lightning, it's hard for me to see. And yeah, so this is probably at this instant, I would be willing to bet that the tornado has probably lifted at this moment, but it is conceivable that within the next few minutes here that it could try to produce another tornado. The area we are most concerned with, and we continue talking about this, east of new site, southeast of new site here, just north of Mississippi Highway 366, north of County Road 3490. This is the zone here where it's going to try to produce another tornado. And I mention that because the kind of tornadoes we're going to have today are not some of the big days that you imagine in late April where it puts down a tornado and it stays down for hours. That's not what we get in the setup. What we get is it produces a tornado, it's down for 5, maybe 10 minutes, it lifts back up, and maybe it does it again, and maybe it does it again. So these are not going to be those mile-wide EF4, EF5 style tornadoes, but it doesn't have to be that strong to cause damage and hurt you. It just has to be 60-mile-per-hour winds from the wrong direction to rock and roll over a mobile home or knock down a tree into your structure. And so that's why we want to be in the center part of the structure, whether you're up here in the hail, whether you're down here in the line where this is tracking with that potential for at least straight line winds 60 plus and the possibility it could produce another tornado. Looking at the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, and it has broadened somewhat, but this is classic for this situation where it would kill tornado number 1. It's wrapped it in under with precipitation, and then it tries to develop the next one down here toward the edge. So that's what we're going to have to monitor right now. And as we often say, radar is not perfect. So that rotation could still be stronger near the surface up here where it's not showing up. And that's why we have to stay in our tornado safe place as we watch very closely this area near Mississippi Highway 366 that could produce another tornado. We are just after 3 p.m. I'm WTVA Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobhahn alongside WTVA meteorologists Alan Matthew and John DeLusick. We're tracking a tornado warning for Prentiss and Tishomingo counties. I know that this is not the entire WTVA viewing area here, and we are interrupting some programming. I apologize for that. The reason we're doing this is within the last 10 minutes, exactly 10 minutes ago, we had a report of a tornado touchdown to the west of the news site area, closer to the Thrasher area, and that tornado was at least on the ground for a moment or two. Storm Track Doppler radar definitely indicated that rotation at its peak, at its strongest point, and though we have not at this point been able to confirm any tornado damage, that's a good thing. What we do need to do, Mike, is if we can, Mike Russell, is get on the phone with the Prentiss County EMA, touch base with them about the tornado damage they have there. And if you get that on your cell phone, bring that over here and we can talk to that person in a minute. I appreciate that. Now, what has happened, now we mentioned it goes through these cycles where it produces a tornado, it tries to reorganize. It's trying to reorganize. You can see this part of the precipitation, the rainfall, trying to wrap back in here and see if it can get balanced with everything. So we're right on the Prentiss Tishomingo County line with that rotation. Looking at the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, now it shows it just maybe a half a mile or a mile at most east of the Prentiss Tishomingo County line. Rotation on this thunderstorm attempting to organize north of the Moores Mill area. Let's get a few more roadways onto our map here. And so that's the Natchez Trace Parkway here. And let's pull this precipitation off for a second here, because where are we at? We're right over top of Bay Springs Lake at this moment. So over top of Bay Springs Lake at this instant is where we anticipate our rotation is. Now, is it producing a tornado? Hopefully not. It's not as organized as it was. Our pixel-to-pixel wind change on this is still there, but it's not at that 80 to 90 miles per hour. Instead, it's at the 20 to 30 miles per hour, but it's trying to consolidate that. And that could happen within the next few moments here. So what do we have at this moment? Earlier we had, for sure, a tornado touchdown. We're not sure if it did damage. That's something we're attempting to figure out at this moment. But at this moment, what we do have, we still have rotation that could develop into a tornado very soon. And people often think, oh, that's strong rotation that could develop into a tornado. No, at this moment, as it's reorganizing, it doesn't necessarily have to be strong rotation. It has to be organizing at the right spot. And then the next scan and the scan after that, that's when it starts to strengthen more. And so that's what we're waiting to see. We have previously had a tornado that's been spotted, though we could not confirm debris. At this moment, we believe with all of our tools here that that tornado has at least briefly lifted off the ground. Hopefully remains that way, but it's possible that it could redevelop. And we need to remain in our tornado safety place if we live in Belmont. If you know folks that live near Bay Springs Lake, we need to have them in that tornado safe place. This is heading in a direction that's going to take it very close to Belmont and the Dennis community. Lowest floor of a sturdy structure. That means a building with a solid foundation, and unfortunately a mobile home is not going to count. We need to be someplace that has a solid foundation, whether it's made of blocks, it's made of bricks, it's a slab. We need to be there. If it has a basement, that's great. But you want to be in a reinforced room of some sort where you have multiple walls between you and the outside. Want you in the middle of that structure, turn up the volume of the TV, wrap up in blankets and pillows, and stay there until we can give you the all clear, because this is continuing to intensify. Looking at the debris mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, we do not show debris. We're looking just north of Bay Springs. We're pretty much right over top of Bay Springs Lake, that area at this moment that we are most concerned with, and now just marginally east of that. And there is no specific spot in here I feel most confident, perhaps right along Mississippi Highway 366, if not directly south of that, the intersection of 366 and the Natchez Trace Parkway. That's the location at this moment where we believe that this tornado could redevelop. And honestly, it could be anywhere along this, what we call rear flank downdraft. That's the winds coming out of the backside of the thunderstorm trying to get more organized. In this zone here is where this tornado could attempt to redevelop, and it could do that at any time, because as we mentioned, we wait to see how it continues to strengthen. A moment ago you saw 20 miles per hour along the leading edge of this. What do you see now? We're now up to 50 mile per hour pixel to pixel wind change. This is what happens. It starts off as organized rotation, and it gets stronger and stronger until that rotation consolidates and produces a tornado. And we believe that it could be in the process of trying to do that. And remember this, everything I show you behind me is at least moments old, because the radar has to scan the precipitation. And while it scans it and sends it back very, very quickly, it's not instantaneous. And so anytime I show you here and I say, this is where it's at, this is where it was at a minute ago or 30 seconds ago, and it's now ahead of that. So Belmont, if you know folks that live in Belmont, and they maybe aren't watching us, or their satellite possibly has gone out because of the precipitation, or there's some issue out there, Dennis, Belmont, I'd say even the Neal community, you could do that as well, but definitely Belmont and Golden, we need to be in that tornado safe place. We need to give them a call to make sure they are in that tornado safe place. Let's give a few all clears here for a moment. Let's go back behind this. Let's look back on 366. If you live in Prentiss County at all, if you live in Prentiss County, you can come out of your tornado safe place. The tornado threat has passed from you. Now, our meteorologist, John DeLusick, and you'll get in front of the camera there, John.
Weather 3.
Okay, weather 3 here. John is going to, okay, so this is damage from where?
Wheeler.
From Wheeler. So this is damage from Wheeler, and it.
Nice tree.
Yeah, that definitely is a pretty good sized tree. I'm gonna see if I could pull that up a little bigger. Give me just a moment here to do that. I'll pull that up bigger. Okay. Yeah, so that's a pretty good sized tree knocked down. There's no guarantee. This is from the Wheeler community. Who sent this in, John?
Cynthia.
Cynthia, we appreciate that. Wait till after the fact, until we've given you that all clear to go out there and look at this. But yeah, I mean, at the very least, strong straight line winds, and that's the thing. A tornado causes injuries. It does what it does because of the strong winds. That's what it does. It uses that wind, it uses that rotation to produce the tornado. And so the winds go in one direction and that shift the other direction is what causes the damage. But wind is wind, and so that's why it can be damaging. We are monitoring a number of other thunderstorms that continue to show some signs of organization. I'm going to go here to Calhoun and Chickasaw counties for a moment. Just east of Bruce there. Rotation on this, I mean, it's clearly showing some signs of rotation. John, is this beyond the front, or is this about where the front is? This should be about where it is, but can you double check using OBS to see if the Calhoun County storm is behind the front? Because there are some indications that these storms, other than these thunderstorms, will rotate, but because they're behind the front just a few miles, that might be able to limit their ability to produce a tornado. Your county road 102, Calhoun County, rotation on this thunderstorm. Now, it is not impressive. It's nowhere near what we have up north. It's only 25 mile per hour pixel to pixel wind change at this instant. But there's enough there. Let's just start preparing ahead, just in case. 5 minutes into the Lloyd community, rotation on this thunderstorm. Not a tornado at this moment, but it's certainly the most organized thunderstorm outside of Tishomingo County. Thorne community, 17 minutes. Thelma, 24 minutes. Houston in 28 minutes. And Van Vliet in 37 minutes rotation. We're monitoring closely, but at this instant, not nearly what we have up in Tishomingo County. Let's go farther north. And we do have a severe thunderstorm watch that just came out a second ago. We'll address that in a minute. Well, let's go to the precipitation mode on this thunderstorm here, see if we have a better location. You can see that mid-level rotation really wrapping up here. It's going to be between Dennis and Belmont, but close enough that it might go to either one of these cities. This is going to reach that point where it could produce a tornado just in time to get to Highway 25. So if you know somebody traveling along Highway 25, at the very least, they're going to hit huge hail. At the very least, if they're in a high-profile vehicle, you're going to get a wind gust this direction that might be 65, 75 miles per hour. And it could, right there, and in this zone, produce a tornado. So now, let's get the latest time here, and we're going to track it both directions. I'm going to track it down to Belmont, at most 5 minutes to the center intersection of Belmont, and at most, we're talking 3 minutes to the center intersection of Dennis. I know there's a lot of folks in here that live in Belmont, live in Dennis along Highway 25 or west, and it's obviously sooner for you. Let's come in really close here because I expect the next scan or two that this could be at that level where it's producing a tornado. So we're at that moment where this is about organized enough to do it. And so right along 366 there west of Dennis, near Moores Mill Road, near County Road 17, all locations vying for just the right interaction between winds this direction and winds that direction out of the thunderstorm. And one of these might do it and might produce another brief tornado. Our meteorologist John DeLusick with more information at this time. John? And we'll get John's mic potted up here.
You're asking about the surface obs, saying that the winds are still out of south in Tupelo, however out of the northwest in Greenwood, so that would put the Calhoun County storm either right along the front, or I would basically, that would be my estimation.
Right along the front. Okay. I appreciate that, John. Thank you so much. So that means that this storm west of Saltillo there is also pretty close to the front. A little rotation on that, but it's nowhere near big enough to be producing something or to produce something imminently. So that's why we're not going to dwell on that. The thunderstorm back here near the Lloyd community in Reed, it's heading straight east. And what we're looking for, and we talked about this last night, on this thunderstorm, we're going to be looking for what we call deviant motion. The more southerly component it gets to it, we'll know that it's turning just a little bit, and that extra little bit of shear is where it goes from a hail producer, and this is probably producing hail that's at least ½ inch in size, maybe nickel-size hail at the moment. The question is, will this try to move just a little bit more southeast? I'm going to track it first for the hail potential. The time frame there, I'm going to go all the way to Amory, so we clip that. Hulka 13 minutes, Van Vliet 24 minutes, Okolona 38 minutes. Just under an hour in Nettleton and just over an hour in Amory. That's for the hail. The rotation on this, more near term, Lloyd 2 minutes, Reed 6 minutes, the Thorn community 14 minutes, Hulka in 23 minutes, and Parkersburg in 28 minutes. And if it holds together all the way for Okolona and Amory, which is possible, we'd be talking Aberdeen in 70 minutes, so an hour and 10 minutes. Nettleton at just about an hour, and Okolona 47 minutes. I'll see if this time it clips Amory in that, which would be, it would be at that moment less likely. So we'd be about the same time there, between an hour and 10 minutes for Amory, assuming it continues to strengthen. There's no guarantees it produces a tornado, but we'll have to watch it. Now this thunderstorm up here toward Belmont is right on the edge doing it again. If it isn't producing a tornado, the next scan, I would probably be shocked. We expect the tornado to come down on this within the next few moments if it hasn't already. It has matured again, and remember, we're looking for that spot, that pixel to pixel. It's right there. You could argue maybe you could spin something up there, but it's a little more organized just northwest of Belmont. We've been talking about Belmont since we came on the air. Tornado warning for you, rotation overhead. This could be a tornado in the development stages, and while it might not be on the ground for hours like sometimes they are, that 1 minute or 2 minutes on the ground, it causes damage, and it's possibly going to happen for you, Belmont. I know we had the folks in the Belmont prom that had to take shelter last night. Hopefully they used that as practice for right now and are taking shelter there in Belmont and Dennis for folks here in southern Tishomingo County. If you live up here in Tishomingo proper, you're okay. That doesn't mean you don't have a Tishomingo address, but certainly if you live north of the Natchez Trace in Prentiss County, north of the Natchez Trace in Prentiss County, or west of the Natchez Trace in Prentiss County, you're okay. But south of it, not the case. And we're looking right along Highway 25, rotation that is becoming more organized. And if this isn't going to produce a tornado, it's going to be a real close call. But right there along Highway 25, our rotation that could be a tornado in the genesis, in the development phases at this moment, it's no more from the center of Belmont than 1 mile, from the center of Dennis than 2 miles. And it's right over top of Highway 25 at this moment. Train spotters as of 3:16, that's right now, reporting a funnel cloud, rotating wall cloud near Dennis. That's what this is here. This whole area, this is that wall cloud rotating around. It's a lower part of the thunderstorm. It's lower because the air is rushing in and going up. But because it's rushing in and going up so quickly, it causes the bottom of the thunderstorm to hang down a little lower. And so I don't want any junior storm spotters out there trying to look at this and trying to spot this. These spotters are trained by the National Weather Service, and so you have to be very, very careful. So now we have a rotating wall cloud. So that part of the thunderstorm there rotating, and that rotation continuing to increase. Funnel cloud at this moment, we have not confirmed a tornado, and hopefully we can stay that way. And John, I want to double check with our storm spotters, with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters for a moment here. Any information coming in with them on this thunderstorm?
Looking at the storm spotter information, we are looking at no reports. The last report was the one from the hail in Booneville. That was still a while ago, and nothing coming in on their side right now.
Okay, nothing coming in on their side. National Weather, so if you just saw a flash behind me there, thank you, John, I appreciate that. National Weather Service has fully canceled out the Prentiss County part of this, as we talked about. You can check the lightning here, and if we just look at all the lightning strikes on this for just a moment, what that shows us is the direction from Highway 30 up there all the way down to Belmont. This is moving south and east. This is going to stay a little north of Red Bay, but this is going to move into the northern portion of Franklin County. Let's get a longer range storm track on this. And then what we will do is, for Mike, we will reset so we can talk about what we have seen so far. So we'll reset for you so you can hear that here in just a second. But what we have is rotation and a rotating wall cloud at this instant reported over top of Belmont, and this is close. If this isn't producing a tornado, it's producing a funnel cloud for sure at this moment, just north of Belmont. This, I mean, you can see right there, that is where the air is being wrapped into this. And so right over top of Valley Road in southern Tishomingo County, we have what we believe to be either A, a rotating wall cloud. We have that confirmed. B, probably producing a funnel cloud. Or C, this is on the verge of producing a tornado again, or is already doing it. Now, we don't have that same pixel-to-pixel wind change that we had earlier where it was up to that 88 mile per hour, but we're also not in an optimum location looking from the radar site. So that always makes it challenging. We'll check from the Memphis radar, but we're again going to be a long ways away. And it does show that rotation right at the spot we would expect it. And so you'll notice those boxes bigger there, and looking from Memphis, it's unfortunately that's not good enough. We're going to have to go just and stick with Monroe County, that radar site there. And you can concisely see exactly where we believe that tornado to be. Near Valley Road, north and east of Belmont. We have to be in our tornado safe place there. And you might ask, well, hold on, but what about all this up here? You see this rotating over Dennis, why aren't you talking about us? This is the mid-level rotation that it's seeing, because the radar is going to scan primarily mid-level and up because it's so far away at this moment. And so it's seeing the mid-level rotation down there. So the lowest 2 or 3 scans on this, about all we can rely on the positioning of the potential tornado here. And that we show right over top of the Belmont area, just a little northeast at this time, south of the Bloody Springs. This is heading in the direction of Pleasant Site. Now, you notice the National Weather Service in Huntsville has issued a severe thunderstorm warning ahead on this thunderstorm here. They've done that because while we've had funnel clouds and rotating wall clouds, we haven't, on this latest one, had a confirmation of a tornado touchdown. Unfortunately, that means, thankfully, that means we don't have damage at this instant, but that does not mean it won't take that step. 13 minutes in Seven Pines, Jordan's Mill in 20 minutes, 27 minutes in Old Nauvoo, and Bell Green there in 32 minutes, just a little north. There's a thunderstorm moving into Red Bay. That what you're looking at in Red Bay, not this. So tornado warning continuing for Tishomingo County. I know there's not a lot of folks that live out here, but we're talking along County Road 70 in Tishomingo County, the intersection of that and Valley Road, where we believe our tornado could be at this moment, if it is occurring. And there are a couple areas there on the latest wind mode where it's trying to get more organized, so it's definitely rotating strongly at this time. Meteorologist John DeLusick here with a storm report at this instant.
Well, actually,
John?
a storm picture, sorry about that, from Hills Chapel. Sam, via
Sam?
Twitter, if you check out Weather 3, you've
I
got
have
some
it.
pretty good trees down. I mean, pretty good number. It looks like a number of trees down.
Yep. I've been there before, so I know there's a... I'm not at all shocked with that. Okay, but luckily what we don't have, we have a ton of branches and we have some trees, but I don't have these decapitated trees, because I'm assuming if Mr. James were sending this in that I would see lots of pictures of decapitated trees if we had a tornado on his property. So hopefully this is just straight line wind damage, but that's very close to where we had that tornado report. That's easily where we had that probably 80-mile-per-hour pixel-to-pixel wind change on this. So a situation we have to be careful of. Thank you so much, Sam, for sending in that picture there via Twitter. You can tweet at WTVA Matt to me if you do have those weather pictures after the fact. I don't want you out there trying to take a picture of a tornado because you're not going to see it around trees if it's occurring. We want to be in that safe place. We still need to be there in Belmont for another 6 minutes. In Dennis for about another 3 or 4 minutes. We have to stay in our tornado safe place. If you live west of Highway 25, you can come out of your tornado safe place. The threat has passed for you. But defining what we are looking at this moment, we do not have a tornado that has been spotted recently, but we do have within the last 10 minutes, at 3:16, current time 3:22, we have a funnel cloud that was spotted. Cannot confirm debris. Hopefully it stays that way. Rotation could develop into a tornado very soon, and that's why we're at that critical 10 minutes from about 3 or 4 minutes ago until about the next 6 or 7 minutes. A storm like this has about that 10-minute point where during that cycle it could possibly produce a tornado. We're about halfway through. 10 minutes might be a little short, but about 15 to 20-minute zone there where it could produce a tornado, and we're right in the heart of that right now, maybe just a little bit past the peak, so hopefully we can get through this. Where do we need to be? Even in the severe thunderstorm warning portion of this, it's strong winds. It's hail that's been confirmed up to golf ball size. And so we need to stay in a sturdy structure, even if you're out here near Pogo, Pleasant site, out into Franklin County, Alabama. A sturdy structure on the lowest floor, room in the middle. You want to go in the middle of that structure, turn up the volume on your TV, wrap up in blankets of pillows, and stay there until we can give you the all clear. Now, one thing that might help us this time around, and by the way, we stream live, WTVA.com, the News and Weather app, and Facebook Live. Right down here in front of me, pointing at the TV that's also sitting right in front of me here. If you lose your signal, you can watch us there. Now, one of the things that might help us on this thunderstorm, and what is different from when this did produce a tornado earlier, is you have this thunderstorm down toward Red Bay. And that wasn't there earlier. You go back when we produced a tornado back into Prentiss County, there was what we call clean inflow. Basically, there was nothing down here blocking the most unstable air from getting to this. But now you've developed this thunderstorm just south, and it's undercutting it. So, like I said, we have about another 5 to 6 minutes to worry about this cycle of this northern thunderstorm there and its potential to produce a tornado before this southern one probably cuts it off. But I still show right there, I mean, northeast of Belmont, near Valley Road, still rotation that may be strong enough within the next 5 minutes to produce a tornado. In fact, that is as organized as it has been, and there are 2 areas of rotation there that are up around that 50 to 60 mile per hour range. So we have to respect those as enough rotation that perhaps this could get organized and try to produce a tornado. If not, doing it at this moment as well. Let's reset for a moment here. Meteorologist Matt Lobhon alongside meteorologist John DeLusick covering a possible tornado in Prentiss County earlier that was confirmed as a tornado touchdown, though we have not been able to confirm tornado reports, and we're still trying to get on the phone mic with the Prentiss County emergency manager if we can. Hey, Mike? Mike? Okay. Just to confirm what's going on there, but 2 areas here where rotation is approaching the Mississippi state line. So next couple of minutes here, this is going to cross into Alabama, and this portion of Franklin County is in Huntsville's area, and so at that point we will pass this off But still, Belmont, if you have a Belmont address or a Golden address, we still need to be in our tornado safe place from this on the east side of Highway 25. That rotation still most definitely there. Going back to the precipitation mode, I want to look and analyze a little wider here for a moment. We've been very in close on a very small area for quite a while. We do have other thunderstorms out there that we are tracking. Severe thunderstorm warning that does include sections of Italic County. The air a little soupier, a little more prime down here. This one also has a little bit more of that northwest to southeastern track. This is down in the far southeastern corner of Italic County. Really, there's not a lot of folks south of Kosciuszko that can catch us there, so we're going to leave this to the Jackson area. But certainly hail likely in excess of an inch out of that thunderstorm. There is some rotation showing up on storm track Doppler radar, but that is all the way down toward the Pickens area, and that looks like it will stay, I want to verify this, south of the Kosciuszko area, and that's at least a wall of wind that's 60, 65 miles per hour. That's definitely the most impressive thing about that thunderstorm. Let's walk north along this line. We have other thunderstorms. Folks saying, why aren't we on? Well, first off, the thunderstorms we have in Starkville, in the Golden Triangle right now, they're all way too small, way too disorganized. There will be maybe some small hail. There will be lightning, heavy rainfall, but these will not be producing a tornado anytime soon. So that goes for the storms. Any of the storms in Monroe, in Clay, Oktibbeha, Lowndes counties, all those well below severe levels. We are watching and have been watching closely thunderstorms up here toward Houston. They're very close to a front, and there were some indications that some of these might be just a little behind that front, and that would be good. But this one, as we were talking about earlier, we're watching the movement on it, making sure it doesn't turn a little more southeast. It has just a little bit. Looking at the wind mode on storm track Doppler radar, we're still very disorganized at the surface. So we'll track that toward the southeast for a moment here, just to get a track. We'll include Houston just in case. It'd be 15 minutes into Houston, 4 minutes into the Thorn community. I think it probably heads more toward Wren and Okolona. Wren, it would be 50 minutes, Okolona 35 minutes, and the next couple minutes here at Thelma in 8 minutes, 15 minutes in Parkersburg, and Van Vliet in 21 minutes. We do have a storm report coming in from the folks over there in the Weather Center. John DeLusick, our meteorologist over there, with that information. And John, is your mic on? Let's double check that.
Weather 3, you got Logan from Belmont just moments ago tweeted a possible, you can take a look at it. It looks very much like a funnel, that funnel that
it could be. The one thing I will say about
I put it in motion. It's a motion. It's
oh, okay, it's a video. Okay, yeah, put it in motion. So what you have here, and Logan, get to your safe place, please. I hope you were in there, and maybe you took this just a little bit before. But this is that precipitation, that rear flank downdraft, and so this may or may not have some interactions on it. A lot of it looks a little bit more like what we call a shelf cloud, but the fact is you're going to have that wall of somewhat rain-cooled air, and it's possible that along the edge of that on the lowering that you might be able to get something. Because your inflow area is kind of back up there, and so it's kind of on the edge of this on the north side there. When he pans back to the right, that would be the area where maybe it's strong enough to produce tornadoes. So we'll come back to the right here in just a second, and it's right in that zone there where you have the inflow. That's the air going in, that's the air coming out, and that interaction there, maybe we're close enough. That might have been our funnel report there. I appreciate him for sending that in. The National Weather Service in Huntsville has gone ahead and issued a tornado warning on this thunderstorm, extending it into Franklin County. That warning in effect until 4 p.m. I don't know that we're going to hold on to it the whole way through. There's not a lot of folks out here in Franklin County that can see us really outside of Red Bay. We know we have a lot of viewers out there. You get kind of here in the northern part of Franklin County, and that ends up being Huntsville's area. So we're not certainly not going to blow out all the programming just for that. At this moment. Now, if we can confirm there's a tornado on the ground, that means a different story, because that means we can get some phone calls. We need to get some folks knowing that. But let's look at the wind mode on storm track Doppler radar here. Oh man, yeah, that is steep. This is what we were talking about. It goes through these cycles where it wraps back up, and that is most certainly what has just happened here again. This, if it is not a tornado in progress, is trying very, very, very hard at this moment. Pixel to pixel wind change right along the Alabama state line, 82 miles per hour. Now remember, we talked about this earlier. It gets above 80, that's at that zone where possibly at the surface it's producing a tornado. And while these are not going to be hour-long on the ground kind of tornadoes, they don't have to be to produce damage. Oh, yeah, look at that, just one scan ago now. That must have been right as we left it. 107 mile per hour pixel to pixel wind change on this when it was north and east of Belmont. So like we said, it goes through these cycles where it weakens for a little bit, and then it waits, tries to get more organized, and then with very little warning. You go one scan before, and that rotation definitely there, but then you go 107 mile per hour pixel to pixel wind change, probably producing a tornado at that point, and it may or may not still be producing a tornado. As I said, these are short-lived tornadoes that these thunderstorms are going to produce today, but if that short-lived time is right over top of you, isn't pleasant, and it can cause damage, and it can hurt you. So very near Jimmy Rapper Road there in Franklin County, Alabama, where we see our tornado at this time, just south of Highway 96, south of Highway 11, no more than about 3 miles there south of the Pogo community. Let's get that on there. That shows right at 3 miles south of the Pogo community, and just 4 miles away from Pleasant Site, what we believe is probably a tornado in progress. Once again, looking at the debris mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, and we do have tornado debris on this thunderstorm. Yes, and we have had tornado debris. So, we have likely had, and Mike. Okay, we've likely had a tornado touchdown in southern Tishomingo County, east of Belmont. Okay, we appreciate it. These folks that we're trying to get in contact with, trying to do a lot of things, manage some facilities in the field, but this is likely tornado debris on this thunderstorm, and debris is something that's confirmed after the fact, and so unfortunate to see there. So let's get a storm track on this, and then we're going to get a storm report in here in a moment. Storm track at 35 miles per hour near the Pleasant Site area. I'm going to track this to Pleasant Site. This is probably going to stay just a little south, but it's going to be close, 6 minutes or less. Let's track this toward the south and east there. And so 13 minutes into Piney Bend, Dempsey in 16 minutes. What we believe is a tornado continuing to be in progress. This is tornado debris confirmed on this thunderstorm. Let's check the wind mode again. Perfect position. We have tornado debris signature detected on Storm Track Doppler radar, and the precipitation, we were talking about it earlier, the rainfall getting in here, is it messing it up? Hopefully, because this is likely a tornado on the ground at this instant. We do have storm pictures coming in here from our meteorologist, John DeLusick. Again, where was this at?
This is about 15 minutes ago from just south of Belmont.
Just south of Belmont.
That is a lowering, if not, that could be it.
This right here, that is that shelf cloud we're looking at. Remember we said you're looking around the corner there? I'm going to blow this up a little bit bigger here for you, if we can, and I'm going to zoom it in. So give me just a moment here to do that. But we talked about that lowering there, and we just couldn't quite see around the corner. This is that wall cloud we couldn't see around the corner. And that's why we're always really scared to put you out there, and we don't want to put you in harm's way, and that's why we want to leave it to trained storm spotters. Because right there, this is where it probably would eventually produces a tornado. This is what's trying to wrap back around and help it. You get the inflow on that side. That's where that tornado would have been produced. So this is what we're looking at. And John, so you know your microphone is on. Out of our Tupelo tower cam, John, your microphone is on.
Okay.
Just so you're aware. But this is what we're looking at right now of our Tupelo tower cam. Lots of low-hanging clouds, and you might say this looks exactly the same. Thankfully, though, we don't have that rapid wind change or anything out of these storms. And outside of this one thunderstorm there, most of these thunderstorms are considerably weaker at this time. And I'm just going to double-check that for a moment here. Now we have a lot of jitter. When we've had tornado touchdowns, multiple tornado touchdowns, we know what the atmosphere is capable of. And so at this moment here, all of these thunderstorms that we see below severe and below tornadic levels at this moment yet. Looking closer here, let's watch this one because this is the healthiest of the other thunderstorms. Let's check the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar for northern Chickasaw County there. Nope, nothing I'm overly concerned of at this moment. So we're not going to dwell on it. There's probably hail out of this thunderstorm. I'll track that for the hail east at that 35 miles per hour. That is the potential we're most concerned with at the moment. As you can see, times on there, Van Fleet 4 minutes, 18 minutes into Okolona, Ren in 33 minutes, Amory into 44 minutes, and Hatley in just a little under an hour. That is rotation, yes, but hail, the more important factor at this time out of that thunderstorm here. Tornado has been confirmed by using Storm Track Doppler radar within the last 10 minutes on this thunderstorm in northern Franklin County. It is in a weakening phase, so we feel confident you had a tornado. Let's double check the time here. Likely was a tornado at the very least at 3:26 there. As of 3:35, maybe not. Thankfully, we're going through that weakening phase. Like we said, these are brief tornadoes. That doesn't mean they're not significant damage you can have on it. We had 107 mile per hour pixel to pixel wind change, and it was likely stronger near the surface. As that touched down, we did have some tornado debris, but that wind has rapidly weakened somewhat. There is still debris floating aloft on this. That's what this is there. That is tornado debris detected on Storm Track Doppler radar from this thunderstorm. Because these blue dots you see there, it looks for if everything is the same. And all of this is rainfall, except for right there, where it's parts of trees and who knows what else. You go back a couple of scans on Storm Track Doppler radar, and you can see how it was much more intense. And that happens, it's much more concentrated at first as it hits it and throws that debris aloft. What I want to check here in a minute is I want to see if we can, how high up in the thunderstorm this was. And Alan, this might be a thing for you on Analyst, on 3. Let's look at the lowest scan on on radar there and see how high up it says it is at that point. So we know about how high it's been lofted, because the higher it's lofted, the stronger the tornado is. So we'll check that here in just a moment. Our meteorologist, John DeLusick, has a storm report on this thunderstorm. John?
Okay, just about the one in Belmont, news director Mike Raffaelli just informed me that there is confirmation of downed trees, numerous downed trees, and also at the time there was possibly at least a funnel that moved through the Belmont area here about 15-20 minutes ago.
God, we got so... Okay, that's good, but that's all at this moment. I don't want to diminish what you just said. I just want to double check.
Sure, that's all that we have at this moment, but you know, things are developing as we go.
Good, I appreciate that. By the way, storm report coming in a couple minutes ago of 2-inch, what we call hen's egg size hail, rather than just say egg. All eggs from different animals are different sizes, but a hen's egg size hail, 2-inch hail near Hobo Station there in Prentiss County out of this thunderstorm, 1 mile north of that intersection we were tracking so much at 249. So it has produced a lot of very significant hail. But we dodged a significant bullet here. You know, and I don't want to diminish the fact that we have likely had tornado damage, and we probably haven't heard from the most damaged part of this, but I mean, you're talking about what I believe was probably a brief, but could have been brief, fairly strong tornado just 2 miles outside of Belmont there near Valley Road. Likely a tornado touchdown very close there, and lucky that wasn't Belmont proper, right in the middle of town. Now, what we do know at this moment is in the last couple of scans that this has weakened somewhat, and I would say at this moment it's probably unlikely that this storm is producing a tornado. Let's go to the precipitation mode on this. I would say unlikely at this moment, because what you have is we had a cell merger that's happened here. You had this north storm that produced now at least 2 tornadoes, and the southern storm that's all messing it up. So we have probably about 20 minutes here between now and the next time this storm is healthy enough to try to produce a tornado, and it just barely did it. You can kind of see that hole there that it developed at just the right spot to produce that. So some damage being confirmed out of this thunderstorm here. Let's get the latest track based on the latest location on this, where the last location we had that report of the tornado. Get a few folks on here. Want to get Russellville in this track here. Belgreen in 19 minutes, 28 minutes to Rockwood. Russellville in 32 minutes. That's Russellville, Alabama. More reports coming in from John and the folks over in the Weather Center. John, what am I looking at here? Is your mic on?
Reporting the 2-inch hail, Hobo Station, Grady from Hobo Station via Twitter. A picture right there on Weather 3 of a pretty good size hail. That's
at least 2-inch hail. So this is the big hail that he wasn't the only one that saw. A lot of folks likely saw that big hail today, and there's still probably more hailstones, maybe not quite that big, to come on these thunderstorms here. I want to last time here, and what this big red thing here is, that's confirming the tornado debris that we've been detecting on Storm Track Doppler radar. Latest scan of that. Let's just double check south there. See, positioning on that's wrong. This is still showing tornado debris on this. And so if it has debris now within the last 5 minutes, it's probably still had a tornado on the ground. So we still need to treat this very seriously, even though we have rainfall that's probably messing up our view of it, and the wind, at least at the level the radar is looking, which is not at surface level, but the level the radar is looking, likely at least some debris being lofted up at that level, unfortunately. So still a thunderstorm we have to treat seriously along Highway 11 in Franklin County, Alabama. And to emphasize this again, if you live in Mississippi, from this thunderstorm here, all folks in Tishomingo County, you can come out of your tornado safe place. The threat has passed for you. If you live in Red Bay, I know parts of Franklin County are under this tornado warning. If you live in Red Bay proper, maybe not have a Red Bay address in the north side of town, but you live in Red Bay proper, you're okay from this thunderstorm. There's no worries of a tornado out of that. I'm going to keep in the wind mode. We're going to go west, and we're going to double check just to see what we can see. And as you'll note, the only thunderstorm that shows any rotation out of any of these that's even halfway significant is the one that's down here into Attala County, and this has moved out of our area. The folks down in Jackson cover this area. We're passing it along to them, and that is all straight line winds at this moment. It is not producing a tornado and will not, in all likelihood, anytime soon. So let's wait for one more scan. I want to see that tornado debris go away enough, and I think it has, that we can suspend some coverage here. Tornado debris is now completely disintegrated on this, thankfully, so we believe with almost absolute certainty that the tornado has lifted on this thunderstorm here in Franklin County, Alabama, if it hadn't maybe a couple minutes ago. And now what we have had is we have had one thunderstorm here that over the last hour and a half to 2 hours has produced multiple tornadoes. We look at the rotation track on this, and you'll note how that rotation track has kind of kept it along this southeasterly jaunt, and you can see definitely the strongest here. So we did have at least one tornado touchdown close to the new site in Thrasher area. We believe we had confirmation of a second tornado touchdown within the last 15 minutes here just to the north and east of Belmont. And we believe that tornado has lifted. And so with those things in mind, the fact that we believe the tornadoes have lifted, we're going to send you back to regular programming. We're going to watch things here. We're going to keep the Facebook live stream going right there in front of me, and we'll come back on as necessary if we believe the threat warrants it. Keep it here for the best coverage.